crystia.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. While the new Liberal leader is being chosen, as we go into, what we all know is probably going to be Mark Carney's installation into the Liberal Party of Canada, a new scandal has erupted within the Liberals. Many people questioned, especially with the legal challenges going against Justin Trudeau's proroguing of Parliament. What is the legality of this? What is the reason for it? Because choosing a new leader of a party, having a leadership race, is no reason to prorogue Parliament. It's unjustified. Well, while that's being done, Justin Trudeau, of course, using this leadership race as an excuse to distract from what his actual plan is. It's starting to come full circle here for us. We're going to talk about it today. Before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying this content, censorship has been on the rise on YouTube. With an election coming in, they're definitely going to be censoring political channels especially harder than they have been. So make sure, if you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button. We've been growing our community at an exponential rate, so make sure to join us in our large Fringe majority here on the channel. With that being said, leave a thumbs up and a comment on the way out as well, folks. It helps us more than you could possibly imagine. Let's get into what is going on with old Skippy here, Justin Trudeau. We've got Michelle Rempel-Garner here. Now, I've actually reached out to her office. I would love to get her on the channel. Since government's prorogued anyways, I'd love to get her on here to talk more about this, maybe explain a little bit more as to how this can happen. Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to Justin Trudeau, I've been asking for years, when does the accountability come in? When do we see charges? When do we see arrests? Where does parliamentary privilege end? It seems like, from what I've witnessed over the last 10 years, an elected government can essentially do whatever they want with no repercussions. Now, I am very much looking forward to the day that Pierre poilievre is Prime Minister of Canada. I am looking forward to getting rid of the carbon tax. Looking forward to more jobs being created, income taxes reduced, basically for us to get back to a normal way of life here in Canada. What Michelle Rempel is going to talk about today is essentially that's going to become the biggest hurdle for the Conservative Party, even with a majority government, to cross, as Justin Trudeau is now stacking the Senate to ensure that his government continues even when they're not in power. Let's take a listen.
Okay, so this morning we just found out that Justin Trudeau, even though he's a lame duck prime minister, even though he's shuttered Parliament, even though the Liberals are going to choose a backroom elitist, most likely as their next leader, he is doing the craziest thing. He's about to fill 10 Senate vacancies with Parliament being shuttered. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with the Canadian parliamentary structure, there's the House of Commons, which is made up of elected representatives like me, and then there's the Senate. And the Senate is appointed. They're not elected. They're appointed by the Prime Minister. And for legislation to pass in Canada, it has to be passed by both chambers. It has to be passed by the House of Commons and by the Senate. Now, there's 10 vacancies in the Senate. And tradition, morality, everything, Justin Trudeau should not be appointing those people. They should be, because Parliament's been prorogued, because he's a lame duck Prime Minister, those appointments should happen after the next federal election. But he is getting in there and he's trying to silently stack the Senate with who? Liberal cronies, far left liberal cronies, people that he can reward, liberal insiders, which he's been doing. But now, because he wants to make sure that no matter what happens in the next federal election, that those type of lefty liberal appointees can stop any future government from doing things if they want to. That is his motivation. That's his agenda right now.
So I mean, I don't even have to re-explain what Michelle is pointing out here. What's happened is that Trudeau is ensuring that even if Mark Carney is installed, if Mark Carney loses to Pierre poilievre in the next federal election, Pierre will not be able to move forward with any of his plans. He will not be able to move forward with axing the tax. He will not be able to move forward with clearing red tape for homes to be built. He will not be able to move forward with mass deportations or new bills to prevent people from taking advantage of Canada's hospitality. In a nutshell, this really puts us in an awkward position moving forward. This is why I've been saying for ages we need electoral reform in this country. Not only do we have to fix the per capita vote and how seats are doled out, because essentially Ontario and Quebec decide who's going to be in charge of the country right now, while the rest of the provinces just fill the seats. But our Senate is not voted upon. So what this does is that whether you agree with the Conservatives, whether you agree with the Liberals, if you're somebody who often flip-flops and says, this time around I'm going to vote for this party, this time I'm going to vote for those parties because they align with my lifestyle or my preferences, it means that they're able to go in there and essentially stack the Senate in their favor. To have biased now keep in mind, as I use that word, senators are supposed to have no bias going in as their appointments. They are supposed to be there to listen to the bills, to listen to what Canadians want, and essentially send the bills that make the most sense. But you know that if Justin Trudeau's getting his hands in there, things are about to get real messy. I'm going to let her continue.
It is absolutely crazy, and it's so sneaky. This is happening while there's so many other things going on in the country and while Parliament is prorogued. So we can't even question him about this. We can't even bring any sort of attention to this. The only way I can bring attention to this sneaky, shadowy, deceptive move is by coming to you like this. But again, I'm subject to, like, everybody's subject to Bill C-18, Bill C-11, these censorship bills. So guys, like, I have to ask you to click subscribe. It is free. I need to be able to directly communicate with you. The link that's in the comments, we're trying to do at least once a week video updates, going through all of these types of stories so that you understand what's happening. But guys, like, this is crazy. This could have huge implications for a future government. Now, the other thing that's really telling about this is that none of the Liberal leadership candidates, the two front runners, Chrystia Freeland or Mark Carney is considered the continuity candidate. He is basically Justin Trudeau 2.0. The entire team, the entire Trudeau cabinet is kind of rallying around him. They're not opposing this. And it's really strange, right? Because you'd think that the next person to be prime minister would want to have the ability to even consider doing these types of appointments. But no, Justin Trudeau is doing this right now because he wants to make sure his friends, his far left liberal ideologues are stacked with government appointments so that they can push their agenda long into the future. And there's something that you need to know about these appointments, okay? They're for life until age 75. There's nothing that can be done about them. There's really nothing to do after.
So by that statement, and I wanted to highlight that because what's important with what Michelle is stating here is a lot of people have asked in the comments, could Pierre not just go in and get rid of them and refill the Senate? No, you can't do that. There has to be vacancies in the Senate in order to fill those seats. Now, when she talks about Justin's doing this and the Liberals don't have any problem with it, well, we all know why that is. I mean, again, she is subject to certain limitations and what she can talk about. But luckily, folks, you're here on the Fringe. We don't have those rules against us. We all know what's going on. The reason that Mark Carney or Chrystia Freeland aren't pushing back against Justin Trudeau's appointments are because they're all in bed with the World Economic Forum. This is all part of globalism. This is part of the WEF's plan. Installed governments. This is all... I've said it before. The government isn't the government anymore. They're the mafia. They're the mob. This is them running their dirty laundry underneath Canadian taxpayers' money. This is it's a syndicate. It's a crime syndicate at this point. They don't care because it's all part of the plan. When I hear things like this, and again, guys, I've heard what you've said in the comments. I'm really trying my best to take a positive spin on things these days. But look, I'm doing an incredible disservice to you, the viewer, if we don't bring these things to light, if we don't talk about them, if we don't educate as to what kind of trouble we're in as a country at this point. What is the future of Canada going to look like when Pierre Poilievre becomes prime minister? if nothing gets put through, if he can't do anything for Canadians. I mean, all these people, I hear it all the time in our live streams. There's people in the comments saying Pierre's going to fix everything. Pierre's going to save everything. I've said a million times over, I don't put all my eggs in one basket when it comes to politicians, no matter whether I agree with them or not. However, there's people out there counting on Pierre's policies to fix their lives when they're living check to check, when people can't afford rent, when they can't afford food, when they can't afford the utilities to keep the lights on, to keep the water running, to keep the heat moving. It's astronomically damning to know what is coming for Canadians and how dirty it's going to get. That how we got here, how we allowed our country to get here, is completely beyond me. Again, I would like to get Michelle Rempel on the channel to talk about this more, at least to some degree, as to how much she's able to disclose or talk about outside of her censorship. But that being said, you should follow Michelle Rempel on her YouTube channel. You should click her links. Try to get those updates if you want to get those updates. But you should also subscribe here, ladies and gentlemen. Get your updates here as well. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you shocked to hear that Justin Trudeau is stacking the Senate? Are you shocked to learn that no matter what we choose, it seems that we're stuck with this government, whether an election happens or not? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription again. Hit your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where we're going to talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the weeks ahead. And when I say we, I mean joined by my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we sit and listen to what you guys have to say in the community outside of making these videos as well. We look forward to hearing what each and every one of you has to say in those live streams, and we look forward to chatting with you this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.